How's it going, gamers? My name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 3. We left off with Chie-sensei and Rika-chan revealing a little bit more about Satoko's situation, or at least the situation that she was in before this time being the third time that she's been in this rough patch. I thought this was only the second time, and same thing with Keiichi. He thought it was only the second time. Apparently this is the third, and we're finding out a little bit of that here. So let us continue on.
両親特に義理のお父さんを陥れるのを目的に嘘の話を作って
Oh yeah, and we found out that apparently her father was a stepfather because her mother remarried and she wasn't really a fan of the new daddy.
自分で生活相談所に電話したって
自称と作り話。
聡子は嫌いなお父さんを追い払うため嘘の電話をしたのです。
Child welfare officers rushed there and heard the story. Her father genuinely apologized for a few times which he had gone too far and agreed to let the child welfare center give him coaching.
いろいろと関係機関が調べた結果ね、ギフと聡子ちゃんの心のすれ違いに原因があることは分かったんだけど、それ以上に聡子ちゃん自身に問題があることが分かったの。
聡子に問題って何です？
Satoko's mother, there were a few times where she had lived with de facto husbands, though those relationships didn't result in marriage. From a young age, Satoko had been forced to call at least 2 or 3 people her father. At some point, Satoko's pranks escalated. She would spill food on purpose, turn over her plate, and even throw it. She would break the windows in the neighborhood and shoplift candy. Oh my god. She would put thumbtacks everywhere and set other traps to seriously hurt people. Not in the way she did now, just to get laughs. She was also fond of telling lies that would be found out right away, and people got mad at her every time. But she never ever changed her behavior.
聡子ちゃんのことを問題児なんて思わないでね。
No, she definitely was a problem child.
これ
What the
は
fuck?
幼い聡子ちゃんが母親を知らない男に取られまいとして取った自衛的な行為なの。
In regards to Satoko's problematic behavior, child psychology experts from public institutions indicated her actions were to draw her mother's attention to herself. They acknowledged that she had a form of harmful emotional trauma and declared that she needed counseling and therapy from professionals. They didn't know whether the therapy that had healed the wounds in her heart
聡子ちゃんはわざと体に傷を作り、お父さんに虐待を受けているとね。
でも結局聡子をいじめてたわけだろ、そのギフは。
いいえ、虐待の話は全部聡子ちゃんの作り話だった。義理のお父さんはもちろん少し感情的な叱り方をしてしまったかもしれないけど、逸脱しているほどではなかったの。
Satoko had lied to chase away her stepfather, and they saw through her right away and found out that Satoko had issues.
ひょっとしてそのせいで一昨年の冬は様子見に。
はい、ちゃんと昔の記録が残ってましたですから。聡子の嘘の可能性もあるから慎重にという。
なんだよそれ、つまりなんだよ。聡子は嘘をつくかもしれないから慎重に、だから様子を見ろってことになってるのかよ。
狼と羊飼いさんなのです。
That fable about telling a lie once, making others unwilling to believe you later.
ふざけんなよ。
Okay, to be honest, I used to be that way when I was younger. And, well, me, telling all these lies and thinking that I was such the jokester, one time when I had some friends over, one of them got hurt. Like, seriously hurt. Like, blood spilling from her at some point, or like maybe her leg, arm, I don't actually know what happened there. The point is that she got hurt when we were messing around out back. I went to go tell my mother. She didn't believe me, and you want to know why? It's because of all those lies that I was telling before, thinking I was such the jokester. She didn't want any of it, so she never believed me. Until I had to show her, of course, like that you know, that's just an example of what could happen. I've heard other stories, obviously the fable itself, where such as, you know, death could occur. Just straight up because you've lied.
昔のことなんか全然無関係だろう。今現在起こってる事実だけが重要なんだろうが。聡子は叔父に虐待されている。どうしてその事実が昔の出来事で歪められなきゃならねえんだよ。
Neither Sensei nor Rika-chan had anything to say to that.
とにかくそれを慎重に判断するために保護士さんが昨日訪れましたのです。
And Satoko dealt with them, put on the best, strongest smile she could manage, and denied the abuse. Of course, she was probably being threatened to keep quiet about it by her uncle. Satoko was trying to outlast everything without asking for help. Satoko wanted to wait for Satoshi to come back home, and she outright denied the truth of the abuse. What an idiot. What? You're not really enduring it. Do you really think pretending like this will actually bring Satoshi back? Yeah, you already got demoned away. Just stop it already. Satoshi, he abandoned you. And the fact that he hasn't shown up to save you now is proof, isn't it? So just stop it. Please stop being weird and pretending to endure it.
今した話は全部忘れるように。
Yeah, good luck with that one, Sensei.
いいですね。
No.
他の子に喋ったら先生怒りますからね。
Oh, you can be mad at us all you want. Chie-sensei gave me a warning and then left to go back to the teacher's lounge.
圭一、聡子のことをかわいそうな子なんて思わないでくださいです。
Oh, I'm not.
聡子はしっかり生きていますです。聡子は
そんなの分かってる。俺たちのかけがえのない仲間だ。
聡子はまだ頑張っています。もう少し見守ってあげましょうです。相談所の人が今後も定期的に訪問すると言ってるのです。大変なことになったらすぐに助けてくれますよ。
大変なことになった後だろ。
Any more than that would have sounded like I was picking a fight, so I firmly swallowed my next words and went back to the classroom. I'm sure everyone in the classroom heard us, because if we were just talking in the goddamn hallway, and Keiichi literally yelling and screaming, there's no way they didn't hear us. Mion and Rena were talking to Satoko like they always did. It was a silly conversation, a humorous, even a fun one, like it was any old day. If Satoko really said she could still endure it, then maybe I should do as Rika-chan said and watch over her. Maybe whatever help I offer will just go unwanted. Well, that's sad. I don't know really how else to put it other than, you know, it's just depressing. Really. This whole situation is awful. I obviously don't have any experience with this sort of stuff.
お昼でございますわね。
You know, child endangerment or what have you. Usually I hear the stories of, you know, a child was endangered or what have you and they were rescued. But that's all you hear because action has been taken for the right reason. You don't really hear about the process.
5人揃ってのお昼は久しぶりだね。
For a second there, I thought everybody was just gonna make like a noise.
やっぱりこうじゃないとダメだよね。
まったく同感同感。ほらほらケイちゃんも机寄せて。
Satoko brought her own desk over as well, grinning broadly. Even knowing nothing had been resolved, this exchange was pleasant and made me remember how fun it used to be.
いつまでもリカにお弁当を作ってもらっては悪いですわね。いいのですよ。聡子のお弁当を作るのは僕の楽しみなのです。
Rika-chan's such a good girl. I almost said cute girl. That would throw me in jail. Having such a good friend must be so reassuring.
僕に大きなハンバーグを入れて、聡子には焦げたのを入れて、聡子だけかわいそでニパー。
I take it back. Well, she's Rika-chan after all.
ほらほら見 シュルームとか美味しそうだよね。だよね。はう。
Okay, I actually don't know what that is, but it sounds delicious.
いつもながらお見事なお手前でございましたよ。いつお嫁に行ってもおかしくない腕前ですわね。お嫁、お嫁、お嫁を食べると、は
レナにお嫁は NG ワードだね。以後控えるように。
あ、ほんのちょっぴり完成しましたよ。
ところでミオンの弁当はなんだよ。今日のはまた趣が違って期待大だな。
おじさんはまったりと夕べのおかず詰め合わせね。煮物がいい感じなんだよ。ほら、大根の色はかなりいいでしょ。
わあ、美味しそうなのです。
煮物は一晩寝かせてからが真骨頂だな。これはかなりいけそうだ。よってサトコの分はなし。俺が全部食って感想を聞かせるから黙って見てろ。
なんですって？私の分もおよこしなさいな。
Alright, god damn. What the fuck?
密着距離まで入れば私の有利は動きませんわね。ケイチさんの分のお大根が実に美味しいですわ。
ちっくしょう。バトル開始時から密着でいきなりコンボとは無念。
This little exchange, how long had it been? It looked like they'd ended up going with the wait-and-see approach, but maybe her uncle had realized he'd gone a little too far and would dial it back now. That's, I don't know. I don't think we should, let our guard down here. If her treatment improved a little, would that be a good thing? Satoko was grinning wider than I'd ever seen as she chomped down on her mouthful of the daikon she'd plundered from me. Did it really taste that good? What the fuck? She looks so dead. What the hell? Don't call her cute. She looks horribly dead. And just as I'd done many times, I grabbed her head and started petting it. And we died from that. What? Yeah, we're literally dying from that.
サトコちゃん？
It was so sudden that for a moment, I didn't know what had happened. The back of my hand was stinging. I went to pet Satoko's head, and then she hit my hand?
どうしたの、サトコ。
Satoko was scratching at her head, scratching at her head, as though a pimple or something had appeared on it and become itchy. It was so sudden and so unprovoked that I didn't understand what had happened.
どうしたサトコ。
At some point, her body had been covered in a thin layer of sweat and her breathing had turned ragged. When I pet her head, did she not like it? Was that what it meant?
お前、頭撫でられるの嫌いだったっけ？
Once again, slowly I held out a palm of my hand and brought it close to Satoko's head. The instant the palm of my hand touched her head, there was a shock like static electricity and Satoko began to howl. What is happening? She grabbed my arm in both hands as if flinging off a snake trying to cling to her. As if trying to throw away something dirty, she threw it violently. It happened too suddenly for me to react. I hit the desk behind me and both it and I fell to the floor. The classroom fell deathly silent. As Satoko bellowed, it sounded like she was in the throes of death and she unsteadily backed away. What is happening to her? Is there like some physical trauma going on with us touching her head? Did something happen where she was smacked on the head? She threw up the food she'd just eaten. She vomited it all back up. Yeah. The sound of Satoko's vomit hitting the floor rang through the classroom.
大丈夫かよ、サトコ。具合でも。
Why is she hurting us? I reached out a hand and she swatted it away with all her might. With such extreme strength, I fell onto the floor again. Satoko put both hands on her head as though protecting it, groaned some more, and took a few steps back. And then she began swinging both hands around. Students in nearby seats were forced to evacuate. She grabbed anything within reach, bento boxes, chairs, threw them and tossed them and flung them about.
ちょっとやめなよ、さとこ。あんたどうしちゃったの？
She screamed out as if Mion's words had caused her physical pain. No one spoke a word to her. All the students were withdrawing behind us, leaving Satoko alone in the corner of the classroom. Around her, there were desks and chairs all over the floor. Bento lay scattered. It was terrible. All I could hear was Satoko's ragged breaths and the voices of the cicadas. The strings of tension loosened around Satoko, and maybe she suddenly grew scared of her own actions because she started trembling and gave a word of apology, but nobody knew just who that apology was directed towards. So for now, I decided to answer as everyone's representative.
いや、そっちこそ大丈夫か？
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。
Our words didn't match each other at all. Satoko hugged her shoulders and back she went. She ran into the locker with the cleaning supplies in it. Even that made her give a little yelp. The impact caused the bucket atop the locker to fall, making a loud sound, and that scared Satoko most of all. She almost jumped out of her skin, grabbing a bunch of the curtain in her hands. Nobody spoke to her. They could only look, not even remembering to blink.
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。私じゃないです。私じゃないです。
Satoko, what on earth? I stood up, took a step away from everyone, and approached Satoko.
何があったんだ？
だから私知らないです。私知らないです。違うからもう嫌です。やめてください。許して
落ち着けよ、サトコ。俺がわかるか？
もう嫌です。
Every time I took a step forward, she grasped the curtains more tightly and cried out.
サトコ、俺だよ。ケイチだ。わかんないのか？お前に危害なんか加えない。 だから落ち着けって。大丈夫だ。俺はお前の味方だって。
助けて。怖いのやだ。痛いのやだ。
Suddenly, my shoulders were grabbed and I was dragged backward. What? It was Rena.
ごめん、ケイチ君はちょっと後ろに行ってて。
No, I understand. I mean, I get it. After pulling me back, she ran towards Satoko in my place.
大丈夫だよ、さとこちゃん。もう怖いことなんかないよ。ほら、安心して。やだ。もうやだ。やだ。ニーニー。助けて。
Well, at least our prediction was right. As she gripped the curtains and kept calling for Nini, she continued to wail about being forgiven for something, and to be saved from something. What is this? Mion gnashed her teeth and groaned, and there were tears falling from her firmly closed eyes.
どうなってんだよ、これ。昨日で全部終わったんじゃないのか？今日からまた元の生活に戻っていくんじゃないのか？ミオン！
You know, methinks the complete opposite occurred. There was a crazy sound. Rena had taken the cleaning supply locker and kicked it down to the ground. Everyone stood surprised at Rena's unexpected act of brutality. After that, Rena embraced the bawling Satoko from behind and started crying with her, stifled.
レナ、どうした？
ごめん。ケイチ君、ちょっと黙ってて。
今のはなんだよ。どうしたんだよ。サトコから何か聞いたのか。何を聞いたんだよ。
Oh shit.
サイナー、黙ってろって言ってんでしょ。
Well, okay. I guess I'll be a little quieter over here. Rena's hostile emotion hit me like a brick. It was no more than a momentary howl of emotion for Rena, but it was more than that for me. She had shown me what was behind all that emotion, what was in her heart.
サトコちゃん。やだやだやだやだ。もうやだやだやだ。許して。何もできなかった私たちを許して。リリリリリごめんね。ごめんね。
Forgive us for being unable to do anything. Rena's words made me feel as though the blood vessels in the back of my head were suddenly all turning to ash. My vision grew distant, blurred with gray, and the world lost its color. I thought we could save Satoko. But though I knew it'd be the sooner the better, I thought there was no time limit for doing that. I never even dreamed that we could be too late. I'd been making a huge mistake. I thought Satoko could be hurt, but never that she'd break. It was such a huge mistake. People, they break. Thinking that they don't is absolutely absurd. We needed to save Satoko. We needed to save her before she broke. That fatal lapse in awareness had brought this on. Whose fault was it? That went without saying. Mine. No, ours. We all took on the duty of saving Satoko, but we were negligent to the point of laziness. In that sense, this was all the inevitable result. Even if this didn't happen today, and it happened tomorrow, or the day after, or next week, we would just have sat around doing nothing until that day. This was the obvious result. I slumped down to my knees, just as Mion and Rika-chan had done, and I too closed my eyes tight and couldn't stop myself from sobbing. God fucking damn it, man.
何の騒ぎですか？ちょっと、何があったんです？
The teacher came and her face screwed up at the terrible spectacle before her. The instant she realized the teacher was here, Satoko went through another complete change. She wiped her face with the curtains and, like nothing happened, smiled.
北条さん、これは一体何事ですか？
ちょっとレナさんと喧嘩になってしまっただけですのよ。お弁当をめぐってちょっぴり大暴れなんですの。ね。
Rena didn't nod in reply. But then, since Satoko wished it, she nodded without strength. The rest of the class couldn't keep up with her extreme changes. We all just stared in a daze.
ちょっと悪ふざけをしただけなんですのよ。皆さん、度肝を抜かれすぎでございますわね。
Satoko would probably sweep the whole thing under the rug. For what? Her heart is torn to pieces. So what? What else? You wanted your needy to help, didn't you? But unfortunately for you, Satoshi doesn't ever intend on coming back. Yeah, because he's dead. Haha. It's never that easy. He won't just conveniently show up and save you. So you don't have to wait for him anymore. You can cry, beg for help, and you can run away. What the fuck?
私たちが無力だから。
Mion suddenly said. She spoke then, those few words that had tormented me countless times. Those words were a spell, and when I heard them, my whole body suddenly regained its calm. My emotions all slipped away like they'd never been there, like a wave of departing. Nice. What the fuck is this music? Wait a minute. What just happened? And then the world's color flipped inside out. My field of view expanded. My head grew remarkably cold, and I felt like my mind's volume had grown even wider than the classroom we were in. At the time, my soul was doubtlessly no longer in the small petty vessel of my head, but floating in the air a little bit above it. We're having an out-of-body experience. Thank fucking God, now we can really solve this mystery. It was a mysterious feeling of release. I broke free of the cramped confines of my skull and stretched out my roots in all directions as far as I wanted to. It was a strange feeling and one I'd never felt ever before. An odd sense of exhilaration. My sharpened senses caused me to transcend. My mind was sharper than a knife's edge, and I immediately decided that spending the time to let myself be crushed with grief would be an absolute waste. I erased all the garbage information in my brain, or from my brain. I expelled the pointless emotions presenting obstacles to action.
ミオ、お前は呪ってろ。自分の無力さをいつまでも。
If I could have taken back what had happened by crying about it, I'd have cried all day. But the fact was, this was how things had turned out. I couldn't take back what had happened. The top priority then would be to prevent the situation from worsening further and to sever the chains of misfortune. Until today, I'd been looking at things so narrow-mindedly, I could scarcely believe it. To save Satoko, the only thing to do was to save Satoko. That's the only thing I thought about. Excuse me, I didn't allow myself to realize the most basic, direct, and certain way of removing the source of Satoko's unhappiness. No, actually, I realized it yesterday. But as for the means, I'd relied on some stupid curse from the dumb deity. I never considered carrying the task out myself. I would obliterate Satoko's uncle. Yeah, murder! Murder! There was plenty of ways to do it. This was a task that held infinite methods. Ironically, the method of saving Satoko required mostly money. But the method of killing that man pretty much took no money at all. I could kill him with the least amount of investment. The least amount of money suited him. It was only the weight of his life. I kept eliminating needless, worthless information from my head, replenishing it with only the knowledge I'd need to achieve my goal. I used every cell in my brain to think about how I'd kill him. The way I'd kill him didn't matter. I would allow any method, from whatever time and whatever country, as long as it ended in a quick and certain death. If I were to have an additional condition, it would be to not get caught. Removing him was an act designed to return the peaceful times we had with Satoko. If I was arrested in exchange for the removal, then we might as well have killed each other. With him, or with only him gone, we'd go back to our normal lives. That was my supreme objective. My ultimate goal. Kill him, definitely. But definitely don't leave evidence either. Two alternatives at odds with one another. The condition of not leaving a trace back to me automatically narrowed the number of murder methods. No witnesses was an absolute must. Well, yeah. Fortunately, given the right time in Hinamizawa, there would be nobody around. I mentally reconstructed the land around Satoko's house. The number of pedestrians different at different times. The movement algorithm of the neighbors. Would I lure him out or charge at him? What would my weapon be? When and where would I carry this out? Where? It needed to be somewhere I wouldn't leave a trace. When? It needed to be as soon as possible for Satoko's safety without wasting even a millisecond. This is absurd, completely absurd. When I thought about it this way, it struck me how easy the act of killing was. If I could leave evidence, if I was just going to kill him, anyone could easily turn into a murderer. But our reason prevented that. It told us doing so would get us arrested for sure. In the end, being arrested by the police was the final thing preventing people from committing homicide, Absurd. If you went all the way out into the very middle of the ocean, you wouldn't leave any trace at all. Anyone would drop those they hated into the depths if they knew that. It was all too easy to simply remove him. I could leave class right now, grab a metal baseball bat or something from the schoolyard, go to his house, and attack him. This is true. Yeah, absolutely. Estimated time would be 25 minutes. If I wanted to kill each other, or wanted us to kill each other, it wouldn't even be minutes. I could do it in 1500 seconds. I knew just how much his continued existence depended on me. He was nothing. I could expel him from this world within just 1500 seconds after making up my mind. From when I decided what to do, he only had 1500 seconds. Actually, if I ran full speed to his house, the number would go down even further. But he was alive. He was still part of this world at this very moment, having torn Satoko's body and mind to shreds. Why? Because I was letting him live. I was permitting him to live, so he was alive. If I rescinded that permission, he would be evacuating this mortal coil within 1500 seconds. You think I'd let you live to breathe even 1500 more seconds of air? I'm taking that permission back. Right here. Right now. You'd better thank me for letting you live until today. However, I actually need more than 1500 seconds. I'm not just gonna end you. Getting back our old lives is far more important. It's only you I'll be cleanly cutting out of this world. They won't find a culprit. I'll forget that I dirtied my hands on the likes of you as naturally as I brush my teeth before bed. So to do that, I'll make a special exception for you and give you more than 1500 seconds. I'll give you special permission to keep on living as you have until I can construct the perfect plan for your murder. Wait, Keiichi. You can't let that time go to waste. Yeah, I know. I'll kill him quickly. I'll remove him with certainty. I won't even waste much time to perfect that plan. Think back. Tomorrow is Watanagashi, isn't it? Last year on the night of Watanagashi, her aunt died. Her head was busted open by some deviant and her brain splattered everywhere. That's it. He's someone who deserves to be given death on the night of Watanagashi. Hey Oyashiro-sama, you call yourself a guardian, but you didn't protect Satoko. Cursing Satoko's family for the damn stuff is your own business. But now you've made Satoko unhappy when she didn't have anything to do with it. I, Keiichi Maibara, hereby denounce you, the guardian deity of Hinamizawa, a failure. We don't need you. Go back to the deepest, darkest part of your shrine this year. Besides, if you had just cursed and killed both her aunt and her uncle last year, none of this would have happened. The curse this year, it's not on you. I'll be the one deciding. It won't be the three families controlling the serial deaths behind the scenes, no. Not some vague people who I can't tell if they're buffoons or not. This time, I'll be the one to deliver divine judgment. So don't get in my way. Just watch. Stay quiet and watch. I'll obliterate him. I'll wipe him off the face of the earth. I will stomp out his very existence. Go away, disappear, and die. I'll tear your heart apart just like you did to Satoko. I'll have your blood as your payment, or as payment, excuse me. And then we yelled. I'm not gonna yell. I was really getting into it there, but I'm not gonna yell.
Keiichi-kun, 大丈夫?
We just had an out-of-body experience, I think. And then I think we just planned a murder. Damn, Keiichi is really weird. You know, I've been giving him a lot of complaints as of late because of how quick he is to just get extremely fucking angry. But he has these very weird abilities that we're just completely brushing over here. Like in chapter 1, remember when he like slowed down time or some shit when a car was coming at him? He had like 10 minutes of time to figure out how he was going to react to this car coming to save his life in a realistic sense. I'm sure there's something in chapter 2 that he did. And now here in chapter 3, we just floated out of our body, flew around Hinamizawa, and planned a murder. So, I mean, I don't even know what to say. Rena, Mio, and Rika-chan were looking at me. Had I fallen onto the floor?
急に倒れたからびっくりしたよ。
Shit, we really did have an out-of-body experience.
うなされてなかった？うなってたよ。
うるさい。黄色い声で話しかけるな。
My friends gave a start and backed away.
なんだよ。
Rena and the others, they exchanged glances, unsure of what to say. and stood confused for a few moments.
今の圭一君の声。
当たり前だろ。
Rena gulped firmly and opened her mouth.
今一瞬圭一君すごい目だった。
目？光の角度でそう見えたんだろ。バカバカしい。
見間違いじゃないよ。あんな目初めて見た。
What were these guys talking about? They've all been too scared of me lately.
前原圭一君だよね。
What was Rena saying? Who else do I look like except Keiichi Maibara? The look I gave her seemed to speak quite eloquently to those irritated thoughts. She understood and quickly apologized.
ごめん、気にしないでね。
So what's going on here? There was a lot that just transpired here, and I don't know how to soak it all in. But we do have some tips to read, so at least there's that. 1500 seconds, that's the achievement. God damn it. Why is it 1500 seconds? What's the significance in that? Why? Whatever. Emergency. June 18th, 1983. Abuse issues regarding Satoko Hojo. Urgent. We propose that Satoko Hojo must be taken into immediate custody based on the items below. Family situation. Life of the adoptive father, who recently returned to Hinamizawa, has already turned disastrous, and she is currently subject to unendurable physical and mental abuse from the father. Child Construction Center's response. A child probation officer was dispatched yesterday on the 17th from the Prefecture Welfare Office, but because of the 77 case, changed to continued coaching and cautionary action. Unfortunately, the consultation office head does not properly understand the situation. Status of concerned child. Child already appears to be suffering from an outbreak of something close to neurosis or manic depression. If her unstable pubescent mind is negatively stimulated by stress, it will put her development of a healthy body and mind at risk. This cannot be allowed to continue from a humane standpoint. Allegations made to the family court. We propose, based on the above items, that Satoko Hojo should immediately be taken into protective custody. She should be secured temporarily under emergency allegations to the family court under Article 28. We request emergency coordination between all related agencies. So wait, they know. They're documenting it. What was investigated was that she is struggling. So maybe what she told us was a lie, and that she is struggling. And she struggled right in front of the person that came by. Maybe not to the degree that we just fucking saw, but... Okay. That kind of changes things just a little bit. If we want to take that as, you know, in that straight, what's the term? As straight value. Is that the term? Basically how it just said, if we want to take that. I don't know. Let's read this other one. D2-3, number 44. Children with special needs, general, D2-3, number 44. Somewhere in 1977. Child name, Satoko Hojo. Probably around this time it was like 7, 8, or 9. Apparently nowadays she's like 11 or 12, so I was mistaking her age. But then again, they're not going to reveal their age because I'm pretty sure in a lot of visual novels they legally can't. Residence, somewhere in Hinamizawa Village, Shishibone. 1. Consultation circumstances. Telephone SOS from child of child abuse. 2. Abuse situation. Child claims she is being physically abused by her adoptive father. 3. Family structure, and that marks abusers. Adoptive father, real mother, older brother, child in question. No, adoptive father and real mother entered family registry somewhere in the 1900s. I think in the 70s. The child is the daughter of the mother's previous husband. 4. Child Consultation Center's response. On the day of the child's telephone consultation, the center called the child's school and asked of her situation. On that day, the child welfare officer on duty visited the child's house and conducted an interview. The adoptive father sincerely listened to instruction and agreed to take child-raising workshops in the city from now on. As part of the suggested coaching, the center will continue to observe the situation. 5. Other notes. As a result of numerous counseling sessions at the city's education consultation office regarding the child, we learned there was a high possibility the cause of the child's excessive distrust towards her adoptive father was the result of a lack of communication. The abuse she claimed hadn't actually taken place. She had made a false report to distance herself from her adoptive father. Below is a note written in pencil by the person on duty at the time. The problem appeared to be more with the daughter. Chief Investigator F of the city's education consultation office said that most of her stories of abuse were likely fabrications. They decided to shift the focus of their coaching to the child. Be cautious not to take everything the child says as truth. Ah, yeah, that'll do it. That will do it. That is the case that they were just talking about in the previous tip. Fantastic. Just great. Guys, I gotta get a drink of this juice here. Ah, lovely. Alright, let's continue on a little bit more here. Mion and the others, having to set up for the Watanagashi festival or something, invited me along, but I refused. Of course I did. How could they be taking it easy and setting up for a festival in this situation? Mion had a lot of nerve. Damn, we're just pissed. It kind of reminds me of Chapter 1 Keiichi, except with murderous intent. The first thing I did when I got back was take a shower. Not because I wanted to wash off sweat, it was because I wanted to be even calmer. I already understood this, but killing that man would be so very easy. The really hard thing would be not getting arrested for it, so we could get our peaceful days back. As I thought about it, I realized it wasn't easy. Japan's police force had the highest arrest rate in the world. Really? I would need to deceitfully pull off the perfect crime, and it couldn't be a half-hearted attempt. Still, it wasn't 100%. Excuse me. Even the best police force in the world couldn't have a 100% arrest rate. I've read a lot of articles on trials with people brought up on false charges. At court, they consider whether the charges are false or not, but figuring out the real criminal is entirely out of scope. And that meant perfect crimes did exist. In fact, perfect crimes were sort of like works of art. They could even be respected and revered. You just had to look at the inundation of mystery novels everywhere throughout history. They dealt with all sorts of difficult-to-solve incidents involving secret rooms and alibis and stuff, and they all wanted to show one thing. They wanted to show the beauty of a perfect crime. There was something divine in the flawlessness of the word perfect. Yeah, perfect crimes were skills of the gods. And in that sense, the serial freak deaths they were calling the curse of Oyashiro-sama, I understood they must have been the works of gods. Each one appeared to have been resolved, but they couldn't stop it from happening every year. Yeah, skills belonging only to gods. Those are perfect crimes. And I would be setting up my own crime before Oyashiro-sama's series of perfect crimes 4 years in the running. If I were to put it in boldly, I was challenging a god. Foolhardiness would be needed to make the decision, but I needed to be calm, cool, and colder than ice to put that plan together. Kill him like a flame, but as systematic as ice. Starting now, I need to retain both of those ideas within me. Modeling my crime after a mystery novel wasn't actually a bad thing to focus on. Sometimes kidnappings involving disturbing original methods that made it into the newspaper were used as a basis for novels after the person was arrested. Stuff like that made it into the news. Day and night, for a very long time, mystery novel authors polished and refined their most fantastic artistic crimes. Intimidating that could be a shortcut of planning the perfect crime in a short period of time, not intimidating, imitating. Of course, I haven't read enough mystery novels to act all high and mighty about them. The one who really liked mystery novels was my mom. She'd read every well-known mystery novel from overseas, from past and present. Every time she watched mystery novels or mystery shows, she would always criticize them as having cheap tricks or being poorly thought out. I wonder what the perfect crime would mean to her. Let's go ask. Okay, let's wait. No, don't fucking ask. No. That's a terrible idea. Why would you ask her when there's gonna be a death tomorrow in some sort of way? You're just setting yourself up. Okay, whatever. I'm tired. I cannot record anymore. This episode was exhausting. There's just so much happening that my brain is just ugh. But thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Just, wow, I don't even know what to really take from this except, holy shit, Satoko is broken. Rena is Rena, and just, what do we do at this point? Are we just gonna kill somebody? Is that the direction we're going in? In chapter 1, you know, we were murdered or whatever. In chapter 2, I guess we were too, we almost escaped it, and now, here in chapter 3, we're gonna be the murderer. I don't know. That sort of seems the direction we're going in, though I hope it isn't. I really hope we don't turn into the bad guy. Though, you know, what a twist. Every chapter's just, not a little different, but majorly different. Thank you all for watching this episode. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy jazz. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.